in your Bibles, pretty please. Turn your Bibles, pretty please, to John chapter 18. In your church Bible, that's going to be page 753. John chapter 18, if you have a church Bible, it's page 753. We are in a series of sermons today, talking about, and Dale, you know what? You're going to like it today. I think after this, you're going to come here and you're going to go, okay, I want to talk about this. So, anyway, John chapter 18. We are in a series of sermons talking about a biblical worldview. And what exactly does that mean? By the way, Mike, does that guy this morning say anything?
He was talking way deep, like...
okay, so you're saying he's a lot smarter than I am and went a lot farther.
He was talking about where it started, back in the 1600s and whatnot.
Really? Okay, anyway. Sorry. Are you on yet, John? Does it help whenever you go on the website and I have a personal conversation with people in the audience that has nothing to do with anybody who's watching this from Omaha or wherever they come?
It's all going up. It's all part of the experience.
Let's put that on a tagline on the website. It's all part of the experience. So anyway, talking about biblical worldview, what exactly that means. There are 8 principles talking about a biblical worldview, and we're going through talking about different aspects of that. What does it mean? And the idea here is to simply understand that there's a whole lot of people who are sitting in a whole lot of churches this morning that are claiming to be Christians and don't know what they believe. And even more so, could not tell you why they believe what they believe. And even more so, could not tell you the verses that are based upon why they think they believe what they believe. And identifying that at the basic core of anything, that the biblical worldview and those attributes of that worldview idea is really the foundation of so many things in our life. And what we talked about last week, which again, encourage you to go to the website and watch or listen to if you weren't here last week, if you want to hear it again, was identifying that salvation is not earned. Salvation is a gift from God. And I recognize that, and I don't want to re-preach that sermon, but folks, I can't tell you how many people that claim Christ who then turn around thinking that they have to be good enough for Jesus. It's not about that. I don't have to be good enough to earn my salvation. I do have to honor Him, but that's a whole other story. But today we're going to go on from that. Today we're actually going to put 2 of the aspects together. We're going to talk about 2 of them today. One of the attributes of a biblical worldview states that there are moral truths, and that the Bible is the guidebook or the foundation of those moral truths. So today, we're going to talk about moral truths. And I got to tell you, while I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy preaching, I enjoy the research and the study throughout the week, I really liked this week. I really liked this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, I don't know if I'm good enough or gifted enough or blessed enough or if God's going to use me enough to actually say this in a proper way today, because there's so much information, there's so much stuff, and I want to be able to get it across, but I don't want to go too deep or too weird or too whatever. So hopefully and prayerfully this comes out okay and where you understand. But talking about moral truths. Is there such a thing, don't answer this out loud, as a moral truth? If there is, then what is it? Or, if there's plural, what are they? Now, most of the time, whenever you start to try to say, okay, well, what's the definition of a moral truth? And when it comes to moral truth, I think the best way to define it is to actually put it into practice. So, let me ask you a couple of questions here that, again, don't want you to answer out loud. But what do you think whenever I ask this? Should a woman in a particular situation have access to abortion? Now, whatever you think there is probably going to come back to a moral truth that you hold. Another question. Should gays and lesbians in loving, committed relationships be allowed to marry in the United States and enjoy all the benefits that heterosexual marriage brings? Is it okay for homosexuals to marry and have the same benefits that heterosexuals do? Now repeat, whatever you think there and however that comes back to you, at some level there's probably going to be a moral truth there that you hold. Third question. Should physicians be allowed to help terminally ill patients who are in pain, who want to die? Should doctors be able to help them take their own life? What do you think? Whatever you think there, that's going to be a moral truth you hold. And I would even throw in the last one. It's going to depend on whether you're the one in pain and eternally dying or not. Is it okay or not okay? Was Kevorkian an angel of mercy, or was he a lunatic? What is moral truth? It's that truth that you hold to be so sound that you say this is morally correct. Or is it? Should a woman be able to get an abortion? The answer, you may say, is, well, of course not, Jeff. Christians should always be against abortion. Okay? What if she is the victim of incest and her father got her pregnant? Still going to hold on to that? What if she is a victim of a rape or a gang rape? Now she's pregnant. Are you still going to tell this teenage kid, perhaps, or a young adult, that she has to give birth to a child that is every moment going to remind her of the worst experience of her life? You're saying there's no exceptions to this. Now, interestingly enough, when it comes to the second question I asked you about gays and lesbians, understand this before you stand up on your moral truth and say, this is the way it has to be. Let me just remind you of something. In our society today, in the postmodern era, which we're going to talk much more about here in a second, but in the postmodern era, the church is viewed through one lens, and it's not Jesus Christ. The church is viewed through the lens of how do we deal with, react to, and accept or not accept gays and lesbians. To the non-Christian, they want to watch how you and I react to or deal with or where we stand when it comes to the rights of homosexuals. And whatever we do with them, they will then judge us and determine whether they want to spend time with us or not. So with that extra added weight on your shoulders, where do you stand whenever you say, whenever the question is asked, is it okay? Can you or can you not? Is it all right? Is it acceptable? Should homosexuals get the exact same rights as heterosexuals do? And understand that people are going to judge Jesus Christ by your answer. How's that make you feel? And how do you really feel if it was your grandmother who was terminally ill and in so much pain that she was crying out to die? Are you really going to tell her, well, Grandma, I hold a moral truth that says that you're to lie there in that bed in pain for the next 6 months or 8 months with no hope and no help until your body finally shuts down? Or do I pull the doctor aside and say, let's give her something to end this? What is moral truth? And do I really have any of them? What is truth? What is truth? You know, some time ago, I actually don't remember how long, I try never to actually listen to what I say. So I can't tell you when that was a joke, Andy. I actually, do. Anyway, I can't remember how long ago it was, but I preached a sermon talking about how God doesn't need us to believe in Him. God doesn't need us to believe in what He says for it to be truth. It is what it is, whether we accept it or not. And I use the example of saying, 1 + 1 = 2. That's the truth. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. That's the way it's going to be. Now, later on, I was having a conversation with Mr. Thacker back there. I don't know if you remember this conversation, Jim, because you spout such words of wisdom. I don't know if you remember how often you do that. But Jim and I were talking, and I said that to him. I said, well, we were talking about that sermon, and I said, 1 + 1 = 2, and that's the truth. And Jim said, well, yes and no. You remember that conversation, Jim? Yeah.
It was 2 + 2.
For my example today, Jim, it's 1 + 1.